Cookie, potato pancakes, pierogies, pivo. Pivo good. That's wonderful. Hi, my name is Mike Malecki, my lovely wife Mary, and we're here to talk along with our friends about history of Poland. And we do a visual Polish history. We're going to start with Poland a little bit in the early years, and we have a early Polish warrior. Okay, Mr. Roy.
Okay, I am attired as a Polish warrior of the 11th century. Poland became a state kind of officially around the 960s, okay? So this is after about 120 some years had passed. So I'm fairly heavily armored. I have mail outfit on, and as well I have some laminar armor. So this is all of an Eastern.
1300s or 1400s, 13 something. She didn't live very long, unfortunately. She was an incredible person for what she did, founding universities and churches and converting and helping convert the Lithuanians. At a very young age, about age 11, she was actually coronated King of Poland, and then married shortly thereafter to the Grand Duke of Lithuania, joining into a very strong union where Poland and Lithuania worked together to protect their regions. My garb, briefly, is a kirtle, which is a very simple dress, but is fairly form-fitted. I'm wearing a surtunic, which is an over-tunic, which is like an overcoat, and a veil, and of course, a crown. She was coronated at such a young age that she did not even wear a veil until she was married, I don't believe. But if you have any questions, you'll see that I'm wearing a belt, which would have been a placard belt from the time period as well. I'm wearing a cross that's lent to me that was
England, Italy. The person on your left with the wide brim hat, a cavalier, a gentleman, will be wearing clothing very similar to this, and it's almost the example of the style for easily 80 years. Wide brim hat, short waistcoat. There in warmer weather, you would wear a coat or a cloak over that. Okay. Baggy breeches, okay, tight boots, carrying a straight sword or rapier, okay, and you will not find this type of clothing actually absent in Poland either. Bear in mind that Poland in the 17th century was kind of like America. Everybody wants to go to Poland. You have earlier, about 100 years earlier, Poland decides that it's going to have its own national dress. So the end result is the person on the right in the blue. Casey is wearing a traditional clothing of a Polish Szlachta nobility. He's wearing a blue zupon, belted around the waist with a sash, a kolpak hat, the typical yellow boots. Now, it doesn't have to be yellow, it could be red, and poor nobility would probably have brown or black. Okay, baggy breeches. Okay, he carries a it's a warhammer. It's not long enough to use as a walking stick or a cane. And of course, the typical curved saber that Poles prefer. And actually, he has a military saber. If you hold it up, Casey, you could and reverse it. You could see the thumb ring on the side, which is typical of a military man. All right, now we're going to talk a little bit about more common dress. If Montana would step forward. Okay, now we have someone a little bit more plainer dress. Okay, this is one of my retainers. Okay, he's a salat. He's basically a servant, and I provide the clothing for him, so he gets more somber clothing, not quite so comfortable, colorful. Black boots. Okay, where did you get? Is that my spare kolpak? Did I give that to you? Oh, I'm going to whip you within an inch of your life later. Go back there. Back. Okay. Now for something for slightly comic relief, we're going to bring a couple guys from the Ukraine over. We have our two Cossacks will come forward. Okay. Oh, why, thank you. I don't know why. All right, but we have here two gentlemen from the southern region of the Polish Commonwealth, from Ukraine, and they're Cossacks. The one on your right, wearing the scarlet pantaloons, is a Zaporožcan Cossack. Okay, and while the other one is from territories further west, I'm not certain what group he's in. Cossacks are basically armed peasants, for lack of a better term. Okay, actually they were very important to the Commonwealth. Okay, they defended the southern borders. They were actually registered because peasants were not supposed to allow to have arms. Put that way before you get arrested. Okay, and since the borders they were very wild lands. Think about Utah in the Wild West, okay, the Badlands. Well, we had our Wild Wild West. Poland has its Wild Wild South and East, or anything could happen. You have Wallachians and Turks and Tatars from the south and southeast. You have Russians from the north and northeast, okay, and of course on our northern borders we have those Swedes, okay, which nobody really likes. All right, they're always coming in and causing troubles. But Cossacks were very important in guarding the southern borders. They were registered. In other words, they were allowed to join a regiment and bear arms. Okay, and you know, we remember movies like Taras Bulba. Not a really great movie. Okay, not a really good story either. But quite frankly, at least as far as the Poles were concerned, but. Cossacks were mostly infantry, and these two gentlemen here, okay, are carrying indicative two of the firearms of the period. Our Zaporožcan one has a snap-ons type musket. It's actually larger than the common infantry musket. It's a siege one. He's got a bipod that he would brace it on in the ground. Okay, and it would. How long would it throw a ball? Would you say? 1,000 feet. 1,000 feet, which would be, my goodness, 1,000. That's almost 5 times the range of an ordinary musket. It is a real armor smasher, and it would go through the plate armor that I'm wearing, which is about 16 gauge, okay, as if it wasn't there, and would probably turn me inside out when it exited on the other side. Gavin is going to do some firing demonstrations on this after we do our talk. Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, now we're going to go into my fun part, which is the military aspect. I'm going to have, yes, James and Yuri step forward. I don't think I've missed anybody yet except Richard. Okay, and the three of us are kind of indicative of the military of in Poland in the 17th century. Troops like us were saving Vienna. Nobody wants to say Virginia anyway. It's true. Okay, Vienna in 1683. The gentleman on the left, that's me, excuse me. Gentleman on my left, or your right, is a Panzerny Cossack. After the Cossack revolts in 1640s, the Cossack term was dropped, and he is a medium cavalryman, okay? And he's very heavily armed. This type of horseman evolved from our conflicts with the Tatars and the Turks. And Yuri, if you would step forward and turn around slowly, you could see all the weaponry and gear that he carries. Would you like to talk? Okay.
Well, that would be difficult. Anyway, a Panzerny would, as she said, medium cavalry, and he would carry a variety of weapons. The primary weapon would be the lance, and you know, as he would charge, he would couch it just like that on the horseback, and try to knock off as many enemies as he can. Once the basically the lance is broken, he would unship the bow, and this is, as you see, is an Eastern bow. Kind of difficult to draw with one hand. Anyway, it's more deeply curved than the long bows you're used to seen in movies. Once the arrows are expanded, this is a longer range weapon than the pistol. And Panzerny would have a couple of pistols as well, but the pistols of the period were not very accurate. You could stand in front of it at 30 yards and pretty safe from being hit. So once the arrows are expanded, then he would ride up real close, draw a pistol, and fire pretty much at maybe 5 yards, 3 to 5 yards, even closer. Sometimes even almost touching your opponent, yeah, something like that. But this is a heavy caliber pistol, and from close distance, it'll probably puncture right through that armor. Hold this, please. Thank you. And as a last resort, once all these weapons are expanded, you draw the saber, which mine is the Ardinka type, which is more of a Turkish style than the sabers that Pan Michal was talking about earlier. This basically was borrowed from Turks and Tatars, and it's a lighter, more curved blade, specifically suited for shearing cuts from horseback. So, and I would be wearing chainmail armor and chainmail coif with the top disc to save my head from sword cuts. But basically, once the medium cavalry is expanded, they send in the big guys with wings and all that.
All right, the gentleman in the center is, well, let me just finish a little bit about the Pancernies. Pancerny cavalry was probably the more common of the cavalry in Poland next to the light cavalry. They were certainly more common than Hussar. Bear in mind that as a soldier you equipped yourself, and many noblemen that had enough money found that being a Pancerny was a bit more affordable than being a winged Hussar. The plate armor was much more expensive. Now we're going to talk to another gentleman in the center. He's more of a light cavalry. Actually, he is a light cavalryman. He's probably the more common of the horse cavalry of the time. Okay, he's a Polish light cavalry. He's a nobleman, and he's wearing a kontusz, which is a little bit different. It's actually an overgarment. Okay, and in hot weather like this, you could wear it.
Also, I'm in the shade, but in the field, from horseback, I could direct the troops, and the flash of the gold would be easily seen. Unfortunately, everybody could see it. And that became a bit of a problem because then I just set myself up as a target. However, Sobieski fought all the way through most of the second half of the 17th century. His older brother Marek was a member of the Husaria, and some people, when the Husaria were captured at Zoltowody, bought the prisoners back from the Tartars just so they could kill them. So the Husaria were in bad shape for a couple years. Which is why Sobieski, when he took Tartar cavalry with him to Vienna, made them walk so they couldn't switch sides in battle, which was a problem. But he sent his youngest son's Hussar banner to try the Turkish lines, and when they went, he saw them go right through. He ordered the general charge, which broke the siege of Vienna, because the Turks didn't believe that the Poles would be stubborn enough to actually bring their cannons over the mountains, cutting roads through the Vienna woods. It took them about 3 months' travel, I believe, to come down from Poland. And portraying King Sobieski here is kind of important to me because on the way from the capital to the siege of Vienna, Król Sobieski served mass.
The Maki group from Lakewood, New Jersey, they'll perform a regional dance from Rzeszów. At 1:30, we're going to meet with the reenactors. 2 o'clock, we'll have the Harvest Festival, the Zinti. And we'll tell you what's next after that. So a few more minutes.